Howdy, guys, and welcome to another episode of the One Micronesia Podcast. And this next series of podcasts is all going to be under one message, and the message is unity. And the next couple of episodes, we're going to get to sit down with individuals, groups, organizations out there who have really stepped up and helped out with the FAS community here on Guam, and to pretty much promote the message, which is unity. So one of those big organizations is a GPD, and one of those people who are always at the front line heading things were, of course, my brother, Paul Tapao. Paul, thank you so much and welcome to the show.
Hey, half a day, Mogathin, Raranim, and half a day to everybody. Thanks again, Vic, for having me. This is special. This is beautiful, and hope everybody's staying safe out there.
For reals. Okay. So Paul, we're going to go ahead and start. The first question is, and people who don't know, the police department, let's take it back. Let's give them a little history of how it all started, and what role did the police department play in this whole endeavor?
Okay. So, that's a beautiful question, just having this nostalgic moment, talking about where we were and where we are now. I believe it was in 2017, I believe, when we first reached out to, back then it was Big Brothers, Big Sisters, and it was under the guidance of Victor Camacho. And it was just weird because I met Vic at a supermarket, and we were just talking at the meat counter, and we're like, hey, I heard you're doing great things with Biggs, you're reaching out to the community. I heard an interview that you did with one of the media outlets, and this is where we wanted to go with the Guam Police Department. So we were still in our infancy stage with our initiatives and our directive. And, he connected me to his, he goes, hey, you got time, come down. We're doing, I think it was the first ever Micronesian Resource Center fun run, 5K that they were doing. So I got an opportunity to meet Vic personally, and just to see the operation. So in line with that first initial meeting, I reached out to him a second time, and I asked for a sit down and just to brief me as to the organization of, especially working with a government agency and reaching out to a nonprofit organization or an NGO. I thought this was, I was pretty much mapping out how we can reach the greater community, and this was particularly the Micronesian community. So Vic had introduced me to Ed and Action at the time under MRC, which was the Big Brothers and Big Sisters was the umbrella for their organization. So after a few meetings, we came up with the concept of where we wanted to go with the Guam Police Department, and of course that's really establishing our efforts with community-oriented policing within the community. And one of the things in which we wanted to work with was the population of our Micronesian brothers and sisters, because as a police officer for the last 20-some years, you tend to see the disconnect between the community and, of course, the police. So working back into the community was really the work that we wanted to instill. So they assisted us with our first ever one of our events was dubbed "Fade Away from Violence." And this was really the brainchild from our Women's Advisory Network. And it really was a great concept that they did up at the Santa Ana subdivision in Dedido. And it was really just getting the community out, cleaning up something in which everybody can gather, which was the basketball court. And, it was a great marry because, you had Action, you had Ed, and of course, one of the more popular sports within the Micronesian community is basketball. So, when we put the stuff together, when we put the concept together, and of course the initiative, it was the concept was taken from our Women's Advisory Network, and it was the Fade Away from Violence, Choose to be Drug and Alcohol Free. And we focused solely on the community. So we picked a community, an area in which we can really hit the population. And, with the grace of the mayor at that time, he allowed us to come into, and of course, GURA played a significant role in this. We went down, we did the assessment, and, the connection there that binded us with the residents of the GURA housing in Zonia was MRC. They came out and they supported us, and they've assisted us. And we held that 3v3 basketball tournament, which I want to share was we had over 150 participants that day, and it was predominantly the Micronesian community members that were there. We had some local Chamorros that were there, and they were playing with the kids, and it was put together by MRC. They assisted us in putting the brackets together. They assisted us with the logistics because she had Action on one side, who's a superstar in basketball, and he's well known within the Micronesian community. And he put together the format of the 3v3 concept, and it just from there, there was that great marry. And since then, we've partnered up with a lot of the initiatives that the Guam Police Department did, and of course the initiatives that came out from the Micronesian Resource Center. So, we've done a slew of events that dealt with issues within the community. What we reached out to we have our partnership with the Department of Education. We did our first Fade Away from Violence with the schools, and MRC and Manialo, which transitioned from Big Brothers Big Sisters, that transitioned to Manialo. The executive director, Ms. Samantha Taitano, was continued that partnership, and was really that right seat, left seat. When Vic Camacho left, he brought Sam in and he sat us down and he goes, "Look, Sam is taking over the executive director. She's great. She's innovative. She's passionate about her job." And it was just the transition was really fluid, and it streamlined everything in what we were doing with the Guam Police Department, and it connected well with what was happening with Manialo and MRC. And some of the events that we did was our Fade Away from Violence with the schools. We linked up with them, and we were able to get, I believe it was some of the national team members from Chuk, and we had our Guam's men's national team partnering up and teaching, I think 150 some kids from 6 middle schools for a 2-day event. MRC reached out to one of their partners with Opaque, and we did graffitiing and lifestyle changes, and we showed them the urban art. So, these are some of the, these are the things in which we've actually partnered up with. And one of the things that I want to stress was it really bounded, the relationship that, we've had now for the past 3 years with the partnership with MRC, with the community, because we assist them with their community services that they provide to the greater population, the greater Micronesian population. We go down and we do law talk with the residents. So we give them an insight about laws and how things apply and what you can and can't do and what's applicable by laws and Western standards. So, and there's an understanding because, we have questions that families were either hesitant or they just didn't know the information, and we were giving them that information that, kept them in understanding that these are things in which needed to be done. But, nonetheless, they've assisted us with COVID-19. On the onset of COVID-19, Manialo and Micronesian Resource Center, they drafted the language for the curfew with the Guam Police Department. And it was done in, I believe, in Yapese, in Chuquis, in Panpan, Kashrai, and Marshallese, I think. And it was disseminated throughout social media, and we used that as a platform in which we were able to reach out to the greater community about the importance of curfew and, of course, COVID-19. But, again, 3 years ago, that's when we started, and that's when we forged a partnership with Manialo and Micronesian Resource Center, and it was great. And I want to bring one event to light, and you see the shirts, the One Micronesia or the Micro One. It was created by them, and understanding that unity aspect, and it was they took the ONE out of Micronesia, and it was beautiful. It was something special because they had the first ever youth summit, a Micronesian youth summit. And if you were a part of that, sitting there throughout the summit was really instilling about cultural pride of who you are and identity. And being a part of that as a facilitator and as a guest speaker, we had kids that came in from different high schools, right? And this is the population. This was the first summit, mind you. It was up at the University of Guam. And it was a slew of kids from different schools who they probably knew each other through social media, but they probably never met anybody. And from day one, from the first initial onset, when we started everything off, they had that sort of like barriers that they had. It was really like, you're from JFK, you're from GW, you're from Southern High and everything. But as we ended the summit and everything, you saw a sense of unity there. And you saw a sense of understanding and openness. And we had power speakers from within the population. We had students standing up and saying, I grew up as a Chuukese, but I was ashamed to wear my muumuu. But after this summit, I understood the significance of who I am, my culture, my existence, and who I want to be and who I can become. And I couldn't have done this without me understanding who I am as a Micronesian. And we saw that effect, and it resonated throughout the whole student population that attended that summit. And I was, from the outside looking in, right, just observing to see how the dynamics of what the summit brought forth. This was something special because the sense of unity and the sense of identity was instilled in the students. And there was an understanding that, hey, be proud of who you are. Be proud that we have heritage. Be proud that we have culture. Be proud that we wear muumuu dresses, and you should not be ashamed of that because this is the culture. And I was in tears. I was like, wow, my mom wears muumuu and she loves it. She's like, and I was taken back by that because now when we said goodbye to the kids, it would, Ed, Sam, and Action, I want to say they were like pretty much the pillars of Manielo and Micronesian Resource Center. We were standing there waving at the kids goodbye, and I looked at them and I said, guys, we can't stop. We cannot stop with this summit. And unfortunately, COVID happened. This year's summit was supposed to be bigger than last year's. We were anticipating a bigger turnout. We're anticipating bigger events. It's a setback, but again, this is something in which we can learn and build from, and better than the next opportunity. And we took that One Micronesian concept, that Micro One concept, and we know what happened. Everybody knows what happened. It was public about the machete attack in Manila, and there was this great, community bashing on the Micronesian community, and we were tracking it, and we were like, okay, we need to do something. We need to do something because they were having town hall meetings about what's happening, and it was only focusing on the issues that the Micronesian communities, the crimes that were being committed by the Micronesian community. So we sat down and we worked. I sat with Ed, I sat with Sam, we sat with some of the other Micronesian community members that we met throughout some of the town hall meetings. And it was really ironic because inside one of the meetings, you had the population of those who attended were very critical about some of the majority of the crimes that were being committed by our Micronesian brothers and sisters. Outside of that meeting, you had myself, yes, Action, Ed, Cliff, he's from the 4-H group, and I think we had 2 other Pohnpeians and 1 Marshallese that was from the University of Guam. And we were sitting there, and you can hear the volume, you can hear the anger inside there, but outside of here, it was special because we made a circle and Cliff was passing his bull around and everything. And, my freaking travels to Micronesia, this is it right here. This is where your hierarchy, this is where decisions are going to be made. And as I was making my bull and I was listening to them speak, everybody had a turn making bull, and, I was chewing my bull. And, I remember a wise Yapese man once said, he goes, decisions are made over a bitternut, over a bull. It's not something that we're going to rush into. We need to take time as we think and ponder what's happening. The same thing in what we're doing and making our bull or bitternut. We're fixing our everything, and that's when we're thinking and contemplating what's the next move, what's the next step, what's the better approach. And as I put that bitternut in my mouth and I was listening to them, I said, okay, guys, what are we going to do from here? And this is where we had that unity wave. It was developed from that. I don't know if you remember that. It was weird. It was, I guess the irony to that was we did the unity wave in July 3rd. The next day was 4th of July. We were celebrating the 75th anniversary of the liberation of Guam. But the day of the unity wave, we had over 600 participants coming out. This was really something special because we had uniformed officers within the Guam Police Department. We had various community members throughout the island, and we had We had student organizations from the University of Guam, some student organizations from the respective schools that weren't Micronesians, that didn't, that had no understanding of, Chuk, yeah, the culture and everything. They came because they saw a purpose.
And I think the next question here is talking about diversity. Why do you think diversity is important?
And I think culture and diversity go hand in hand. And understanding that, again, it's not division to diversity, it's unity to universal diversity. It really makes us understand who we are. And the difference in culture is the similarities in customs and beliefs. Every culture has their belief that's similar to every part of the Micronesian region. The adjunct saying is, although we're separated, by land, we're still touched by the seas and the waters. And, if you really look back at it, it's really, we are connected to the water. We are connected to everything that we've done, everything that has come forward. But, diversity in itself, it's really the differences that we have, it's really more of individuality and the uniqueness of that culture, the uniqueness in which brings out the beauty of the respective culture and the customs that we can relate with. And, it's not really, we're hearing it, diversity and change and diversity, what's happening in the United States. And, people ask, with the BLM movement and everything, right? Because of what's happening in the States. People will ask me, what's going on in Guam? I said, well, with the Guam Police Department and yet, the partnership that we have with the Micronesian Resource Center and Manila, we've bridged that gap with diversity. We've bridged an understanding that we are one Micronesia. And, that's where I see that the importance of diversity and understanding how everybody's contribution into their existence in this world. It's you sprout a flower, a different flower from your island that is significant in your part, that we can learn and appreciate from. That custom and belief that you have that may be alien to some individual that's not a part of the Micronesian community or not a part of this region, may look at it from a different perspective and admire and appreciate the true beauty behind it. The way an elder sits and he prepares his bull. I mean, I think that's the most beautiful thing. It's like, hold on, why we're rushing? Let me do this and everything, right? It's different. It really is, the differences that we have. You don't look at it as more of a racial standpoint. You look at it as the beauty, a really different perspective and more of a beauty aspect of it. And you learn to appreciate that. And this is the same teachings that I teach my kids who come out with me to the events. We're so diverse with different things, that different cultures, that this is what brings us together, is sharing each other's cultures. It's sharing each other's beliefs and customs, and understanding that, this is a sense in which we appreciate who we are as Micronesians and understand that, we have so many things to contribute to this world. I'm not going to say society anymore. I'm going to say to this world, because of our very existence of who we are as human beings. And I assured that I did an interview that was happening stateside, and they asked, in Guam and everything, in the States, we're having this Black Lives movements and everything. What's going on with you guys there as a territory and stuff? Are you guys seeing this as a movement? Yes, we've had some protests with some demonstrations with the Black Lives movements, but I assured them that what makes us different from us in the stateside is really, we have diverse cultures, and we have cultures and customs in which we have respect, and we have an understanding that we are, we are unified as one Micronesian. And this is what makes us beautiful in a sense of a region of where we are, is the differences that we bring. It's still some way connected to each other.
Amen. Like you said, and that pretty much brings us to the bottom, the last question here. And the question is, what does One Micronesia mean to you?
Oh man, you don't have enough time for this podcast.
Just sum it up.
when we were sitting there getting ready for the summit, right? And we were sitting down doing the logistics. a lot of things were going on. Right? It's going to be big. It's going to do this. The first summit and stuff, right? And Action and Ed came up with that, that concept with the team, right? And it was a team effort and everything, right? They're like, Sarge, we're thinking of catchphrases and everything, right? Unity in the community and so forth, right? So they came up, they're like, oh, we're going to show you something and stuff, right? And when they came up and they showed that One Micronesia, right? And people have never seen it before, and then it just stands out, the ONE, Micronesia. And I was like, that just sums everything up of what our work, it elevated our work in understanding that, this is where we've been working for the Guam Police Department for the last 3 years with that partnership, was establishing that unity in the community. Because we use that as our catchphrase, unity in the community, fade away from violence, right? That was always the catchphrase that was developed by our Women's Advisory Network. But when the team from MRC came up with a Micronesia approach, and I had to take a step back and I had to applaud them. And I said, that is the most beautiful catchphrase. That's the most beautiful slogan, because people don't understand the terminology, Micronesian islands is many different islands.
Mm-hmm.
But when you use the one aspect, it brings all that many different islands together. We're diverse islands that are separated again to, separate and apart the distance, but what connects us is the water. What connects us is the sea. And what connects us is our cultures and our diverse cultures that we have. And understanding that One Micronesia the Guam Police Department has embraced that as our slogan, when we work closely, because, I work closely with MRC and, we share that same passion that this is the work that's cut out for us. This is the work in which we need to do. And establishing that bond and establishing that community relationship with the police officers in the community, not just the local aspect, but also our Micronesian community, and understanding that, we are one. We're all the same. Although we have different cultures, we are connected because we are Micronesians. And, people are understanding that. People are seeing it. And, like I said, man, when they came out with that Micro One approach, I was just, that's it. That's who we are. That unifies everything. That unifies and that solidifies the work that we've been doing with the collaborative partnership with Manielo and Micronesian Resource Center and the Guam Police Department.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much again, Paul Tapao. Time, like I said, I wish we'd have all the time in the world. It's just, we'll definitely get another one, a part 2 with Paul Tapao, and definitely get down and
the community.
Yeah. Or, it's like, I can't wait to, after COVID to get back out there and pursue all these awesome events that I know you guys still have planned and will definitely do after this COVID-19. So definitely can't wait to get out there and to work with you guys, especially I know you guys are itching to get out there and to get back to the community. So again, Paul Tapao, thank you so much, my brother, for taking the time to talking with us here on the podcast.
Absolutely, my friend.
All right. Thank you again. Guys, that pretty much concludes another episode of the One Micronesia Podcast. Again, the message is unity, and I hope you guys are having a great one. Again, please stay safe. My name is Victorious, and you guys have a great one.